สวัสดีปีใหม่ค่ะ and Happy New Year. Welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight.
And Happy New Year as well. We hope you have had a great holiday. Kicking off the program tonight with the latest on the COVID-19 situation, particularly with the increase of Omicron cases in Thailand. At the same time, the Public Health Ministry will also propose the delayed resumption of Thailand Pass applications, which have been put on hold for a couple of weeks now. So Thailand has recorded a total of 2,062 Omicron COVID-19 cases in 54 provinces out of 77 provinces in Thailand, and most of them have already recovered from the disease. Bangkok recorded the most Omicron infections with 585 cases, and 7 of whom were local transmissions. Other provinces with also quite a high number of Omicron cases are Kalasin and Rayat in the northeast, Phuket, Chonburi, and Samut Prakan. The Director General of the Medical Sciences Department also revealed that the Omicron variant will lead to the increase of new infections, definitely, but it won't affect the number of new deaths yet. So now, however, he said 70 to 80% of the COVID-19 infections in Thailand are currently mostly of the Delta variant, especially among the elderly and people with any of the 7 underlying diseases.
And in light of the COVID-19 situation, especially with the emergence of the Omicron variants, yesterday the Ministry of Public Health proposed that the CCSA delay the resumption of issuance of the Thailand Pass until the end of this month over the Omicron variant concerns. On December 21st, if you remember, the CCSA suspended the Test and Go program and most of the sandbox programs, and that the authorities would revisit the decision on January 4th, which is today. However, no decision has been made, so the slowdown of international arrivals will still continue. To give you a bit of a recap, the Test and Go program is where arrivals from abroad are only required to spend one night at a designated hotel while waiting for their RT-PCR COVID-19 test results, as opposed to the usual 14-day quarantine. As for the sandbox program, no quarantine is imposed, but travel outside the province of arrival is prohibited for the first week at least. And right now, only Phuket is allowed to implement the sandbox program. And according to the CCSA, the top 5 countries where the arrivals came to Thailand from December were Germany, followed by the United Kingdom, Russia, the United States, and Singapore.
And meanwhile, Public Health Permanent Secretary Dr. Kiatipom Wongrajit admitted that clusters infections in several provinces, which were linked to eateries, especially during the past holiday season, are a matter of serious concern right now. Most of the venues in question did not maintain COVID-free setting standards, and anyone who visited these eateries during the New Year holiday may have been exposed to the virus, according to the Permanent Secretary, and are also likely to spread the virus when they return to Bangkok or other cities, their hometowns, or wherever they work at. So he recommended that all New Year holiday travelers take an antigen test before their return journey and also work from home for at least 2 weeks.
And because of the Omicron variants and new infections coming up during the New Year's, it has also been reported that the leader of Thailand's progressive movement and also the former leader of the now dissolved Future Port Party, Thanathorn Jungrungrungkit, test positive for COVID-19 upon returning from abroad yesterday. He posted on social media that he is now in isolation and currently asymptomatic. So we can see that there are more new infections coming, especially with the Omicron cases. But on the other side of it, most of the infections in Thailand are mostly the Delta variant at the moment.
Right. So, of course, this is actually the period right now where we, stay home. Look at us, for example, having broadcast at home as well. So, if you can, of course, not everyone can afford that. Try to limit going out as much as possible during this time, especially, with New Year, people going all over the places. Right. So,
yep. And with all of the concerns surrounding with the new infections, so in light of the surge, especially in the Northeast where they're seeing a surge in COVID-19 infections, many schools such as in Khon Kaen and Ubon Ratchathani provinces have been ordered to close for 2 weeks. And it also has been advised by the Education Ministry to postpone all of the Thai Children's Days events, which are scheduled for this Saturday, indefinitely over such concerns. So at the moment, all schools and educational institutes in Thailand's northeastern province of Khon Kaen have been ordered to close until January 14th by its governor. The closure order, which came after a meeting of the Provincial Communicable Committee, is applicable to all schools, educational institutes of all levels, and child development centers, with the exception of centers for special children. And during the closure, administrators of the schools have been instructed to hold online classes instead. At the same time, all government offices were also told to implement working from home, while private businesses have been asked to allow their employees to work from home until further notice. Meanwhile, the governor of Ubon Ratchathani province has ordered the closure of all schools, cinemas, fitness clubs, gyms, stadia, and sports grounds from today until January 17th due to the rising COVID-19 infections there, while air-conditioned eateries are only allowed to provide takeaway services.
And basically, all schools across Thailand have also been instructed to self-assess for COVID risk in the way they manage their classes, according to measures announced by the Education Ministry. So the ministry advised all schools to consider maybe moving from on-site learning to online and other platforms, as well as working in close coordination with the Communicable Disease Committee in their specific province. And another measure, not just closing the physical classes in school, but also to ensure and practice drills to enhance their readiness to implement contingency plans in case of infection surges, for example, and the way that they coordinate with the local authorities to nearest hospitals or health facilities.
Right. So because the schools are, we can say that it can be a possible cluster with all the gatherings, the classrooms, and the overall setting, it's best for now for the online classes to resume. But on the other side of it, it is not really a good year for the overall education sector because children have been forced to study at home for years now. And it looks like with the emergence of new variants of COVID-19, it's not really, what do you call it? Students don't get this educational atmosphere where they get to talk to their teachers, talk to their friends, and get the most out of their studies. And when they have to study from home, there's a lot of problems going on, as we previously reported with the internet connections and the struggles that teachers have to deal with in terms of connecting with their children through the screens. And it looks like this will keep going on unless the overall situation improves.
Yeah, and especially hitting vaccination milestone as well to keep up with all the new variants, so to say. And speaking of school closures, the pubs and bars in all across the country have remained closed for a long time, for many months. Actually, since the year 2019 itself, with a bit of being on and off. So the latest update was that it was set. All of the pubs and bars are set to reopen in mid-January, so only in 2 weeks' time. But questions have also been raised if this is actually really appropriate timeline, and also because of the New Year holidays, the pubs and bars that were temporarily allowed to open, especially for New Year's Eve, if they were irresponsible and can lead to more of the spread of Omicron and other variants of COVID-19 in general as well. So Public Health Minister Anutin Charnvirakul said the reopening of pubs and bars, which is now scheduled for January 16, may have to be postponed again, and in several provinces, because they are blamed for the spread of the COVID during the holidays. So he told the media that the authorities have sympathy for pubs and bars, karaoke operators, and employees, of course, because they have been closed for a very long time. But so the government actually did allow them to reopen briefly for New Year's Eve, for example, and especially when they classify themselves, when they register themselves as eateries, which can be open, not purely pubs and bars. And that, for example, alcohol, if you remember, or maybe if you don't remember, that was allowed to be drunk, to be consumed on the New Year's Eve itself. So that has definitely brought on some problem, because a lot of these places were found to not comply with the COVID-19 freeze setting measures. And so the minister claimed that it's not just a handful of these operators that are not respecting COVID rules, but actually most of them. So he is concerned, and he said he will object to any proposal for their reopening anytime soon, even though the final decision does not rest with him.
His remark also echoed that of the Disease Control Department Chief Dr. Opat Gawinpong, who blamed several entertainment venues in touristic towns such as Pattaya of Chonburi Province, Udon Thani, Ubon Ratchathani, Phuket, and Chiang Mai. And they blamed these entertainment venues for the poor ventilation as well as lax COVID measures. Suggesting that COVID-19 is here to stay, Dr. Opat quelled fears of the virus, saying that it would become less fatal and that more people have now been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and even got booster shots. Reflecting Anutin's remark that it is fortunate that most of the population have already been vaccinated, otherwise the spread of the disease would become more serious during the festive season. And frankly speaking, during the festive season, whether it's New Year's or other festivals, those things are already to blame for the surge of COVID-19 infections. We put the variants aside, but many times where new COVID-19 clusters are reported, most of them come from pubs and bars because of the cramped setting, the lack of air ventilation, and the habit of people when they go drinking, dancing, and all these things. So it is very likely that the virus would be easily transmissible.
Right. So, of course, it is best to actually avoid a crowded and actually closed space at this time. And there are actually many ways to celebrate special occasions, on your own. On your own, you can actually do that. Or even just, a few loved ones, and that's it.
Exactly. And we also previously reported that if you were going to attend the New Year countdown events, you have to keep your guards up really high, but we're just not sure whether they actually really complied with the COVID-19 measures. The events will have raised, meaning like they have increased their COVID-19 measures, but it's up to the people whether they actually comply with them or not.
Right.
And during the New Year holidays, many people would have gone up country visiting beaches or mountains or other parks, and I'm pretty sure that many people also visited some of the zoos as well. However, there was a shocking incident and also disturbing because there was a case of an animal abuse in Khon Kaen province, and what you'll be seeing right here contain images of animal abuse as well, so a trigger warning right there. So an outcry has been raised on social media after the owner of a zoo in Thailand's Khon Kaen province posted disturbing pictures on the zoo's official Facebook page of a capybara being abused, urging visitors not to harm them, and such creatures are friendly and actually do not harm others. And speaking of such creatures, capybaras are really cute, to be really honest. So the owner of the Khon Kaen Exotic Pets and the Fountain Show Zoo, located in Sila sub-district in Mueang district of Khon Kaen, told a reporter that on New Year's Day, many of the visitors flocked to the zoo and were all given baskets of vegetables with which to feed the animals within the zoo. However, there was one visitor who was surprised when a capybara approached them, and the visitor struck the creature with a basket until the creature bled. And since there was a shocking incident, staff members at the zoo quickly treated the animal's wounds straight away. The owner explained that capybaras are actually friendly, tame, and they love to play with humans, and there has never been a case of such creatures being abused at the zoo before. And she also demanded that they want the abuser to come forward and explain their actions, whether it's intentional or not. Very sad story right here, because you look at these capybaras, there are very cute creatures to begin with. You will be familiar with these creatures like eating fruit in this onsen in Japan, or even in many other countries where you can enjoy their cuteness. And not to mention, there was this music video by Blackpink. They also featured these cute capybaras as well. So these are so lovable to begin with. And I just could not imagine how could someone be so mean to these capybaras.
Well, abuse is abuse, be it with humans or animals, and all kinds of abuse, which is bad.
Yes, exactly.
So, right. So back to New Year. So although today is the first working day of 2022 for a lot of people, and us including, we're pretty sure that most of you are still on holiday mode, a little bit like us.
Yep.
So if not, you may want to check whether you have the post-vacation blues. So according to the Mental Health Department, post-vacation blues, or post-holiday blues, whatever you may call it, you can even call it post-travel depression, is a type of mood that people experience after returning home from a long vacation, especially if it was a very enjoyable one. So you may take a few days to heal, but in extreme cases, it can even last for several weeks. So to be clear, post-vacation blues is not a mental health illness, but there are chances that it may develop into depression. So be careful, be mindful, be aware of your health, both physically, mentally, and do seek help if you have certain symptoms that still persist after more than 3 weeks.
But if you're feeling that post-vacation blues are kicking in, there are a few ways to help you heal. One of them is to obviously plan your next trip, whether you can think about the exciting things that you could do, the places you wanted to visit. This can help you feel better and have this sort of encouragement for your next holiday. Another thing that you could do to help you heal is to eat delicious food. It can also help as well. It can make you feel happier, but in a way, don't overeat though. And another way to heal is to share those memories with your friends, your family, or with other people, either looking through the photos you've taken during your holidays, or even making a conversation with someone about your trip, sharing your best moments and probably some traveling tips if they're interested. Or if not, you can find new hobbies related to your previous trip, such as cooking or even learning a new language. These are the things that you can do to heal from the post-vacation blues or post-travel depression, whatever you call it. And I guess we're still in this holiday mode, but if such symptoms persist, maybe you can seek some medical help.
Sure. Right. So I hope this helps. We hope this helps as well. And enjoy all the new hobbies, whatever New Year's resolutions that you have come up with.
Exactly.
Well. And with that, we wrap up this first edition of Thai PBS World tonight. We are right here on YouTube and Facebook Live every weekday at 7 p.m. To give you all the top stories and explainers, and you can't miss our commentaries in English.
And don't forget to follow us on social media, including our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates about Thailand, as well as in-depth analyses. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ